Reid and Gugu Mbatha-Raw. What a wonderful response. I think I can speak for myself and for many people in this theater that it's so wonderful to see a film this summer where the main thing that's destroyed is the argument for slavery and not, New York City or San Francisco. Your director, Amasante, talked about her obsession with Jane Austen and with period films. And did you guys share that obsession? What about you? Where do you fit yourself in there? Were you obsessed with Sense and Sensibility and Pride and Prejudice?
Absolutely, yes. I don't know about you, Sam.
Not quite the same.
Yeah, I grew up watching, there was a TV adaptation of Pride and Prejudice when I was growing up with Colin Firth. And Jennifer Ely and Alison Steadman and a whole load of amazing British actors. And I grew up watching that every Sunday night with my mum. Also, Emma Thompson is a huge inspiration for me, and so the Ang Lee Sense and Sensibility that she wrote was also something that I was very familiar with, and something that Anna Asante, the director, also she recommended I rewatch for this, just to help with the sisterly relationship with Elizabeth, Sarah Gadden. And I did read the books growing up a little bit in my teens, and I lived in Bath for a short period. I did a TV series in Bath a few years ago. So yeah, I don't know whether you had Jane Austen in Australia.
No, but I think what's interesting about this film is that it is a Jane Austen-esque story, but it's not fiction, it's a true story.
Yeah.
So that's what drew me to it. It's completely different. It's not like it's playing on the fictionalized characters of Jane, of the world of Jane Austen. These are real people, and it actually reverses all of the Jane Austen convention entirely.
Right.
Even I feel more like I'm Elizabeth Bennet.
So, for both of you, how did you get this part? I know that you came on a little bit late, Sam, talk about the process of landing these two incredible roles.
Okay, we always tell my story first. Yeah, I came the regular way. I was actually meant to play a Nazi, and then that film fell apart. And so the next day, this came up straight away afterwards, so I was much happier about this film. I read the script, I adored it, and then met Anna the next day, and then I was in it,
My route to it was a bit more convoluted. I first met the producer, Damien Jones, a long time ago when I was first out of drama school, and I had a 2-line role in a film that he was doing. And he had told me about painting. I think there had been an exhibition at Kenwood House, and I was living not very far away in North London, in Highgate, and I couldn't believe that I didn't know about the painting, and that I'd been to the house and been to Hampstead Heath and had no idea about Dido.
Oh, wow.
So I went to the exhibition, or I tried to go to the exhibition, but it had finished, so I just ended up buying a postcard of the painting from the gift shop. And I hung on to that, and at that point there was no script or director, and then years passed, and I kept the postcard. I had a copy of it in my diary and a copy of it in my bedroom, sort of blue tacked to the wall. And then I met Anna for something completely different, also set in Nazi Germany, a project called Where Hands Touch, which fell apart, but
good, Nazi
yeah, and then more time passed, and I was working in America, and then Damien Jones did The Iron Lady with Meryl Streep, and that sort of got more momentum, and then Anna was on board to direct, and so I flew back to meet with her, and then came back again, and a few more months passed, and then I flew back and auditioned for her, and then finally got the part, I think, when I was in LA doing a TV series.
The whole time she was carrying the postcard around for 2 years.
It was very dog ears by that point.
So what do you, and this is again for both of you, and especially for you, because it's obviously was an important painting to you even before the film, but what do you see when you see that painting? How does it strike you emotionally? Because I think it's kind of a Rorschach test. I mean, everyone kind of comes and brings different things when they see that painting. What do you see and what do you feel when you see it?
Absolutely. I mean, that's been a fascinating thing just in these last couple of weeks is people's different responses to the painting. I think everybody endows it with their own experience. But for me, I saw this very vivacious girl. I just loved the fact that the expression on Dido's face was, she just had this sort of bright-eyed look about her that sort of seemed to be sort of searing out of the painting, and for me, she sort of looked mischievous and confident, and there was a sense of movement about her, as opposed to like the typical paintings of the day where everyone looks very demure and no one smiles, or there was just something kind of refreshing about her facial expression. So I was sort of drawn to her as a person and as I say, that personality that seemed to come through.
It almost feels like she's running out of the painting and into the future.
I haven't heard that one, that's a good one.
I think for me the most interesting thing about the picture is the historical aspect and the connection that the creatives made, going that this girl who was living in Lord Mansfield's house, we don't know how much influence she would have actually had on the case and on him personally, but of course you can't deny that she would have influenced him, and we know for a fact that he left her money in his will, so she was a very loved figure in that family, and I just love the idea that this woman influenced him, yeah.
And also the sister dynamic as well. I think like Anna often talks about, like, historically this was quite unique for the time. Traditionally, if a woman of colour or a person of colour in a painting, they would usually be depicted in a very subservient role, somewhat like as a pet or as a status symbol. And it's Elizabeth that is reaching out to Dido affectionately, and as we show in the film, traditionally for that period, it would normally be the black servant sort of giving status to the white, lead of the painting. So I think that Amma found that, in her research of the art history of the time to be pretty unique for the period.
Now, Sam, you've got the sort of unique challenge in the movie of playing a character that has sort of a modern take that's very unique to the time. Talk about that. Because you're bringing sort of a modern idea to a time when nobody had that thought. And what are the challenges there? And what was the challenge in playing a character like that?
I think that was one of the most appealing parts of the character, was that he is this modern guy with modern sensibilities, trapped in this period of time, and he kind of felt very uncomfortable in this world, and he was constantly trying to change it. And the world, the costumes, everything informed that when you were in it, because these people are like wrapped up in this society, wrapped up in these stockings, and I'm not wearing a corset, but in his hair, in a cravat, and essentially he's hitting his head against this brick wall, and he gets more and more frustrated. And Amma was definitely leading me down that route where this kid is getting more and more emotional because he can't work out how to change it, and he has to learn how to use the conventions of the time to be able to make change, and only by learning through Lord Mansfield and be able to contain his emotions as the lesson would be learned. Yeah, so I thought that was a fascinating arc, and especially a guy who gets everything that he wants in like 3 sentences at the end of the film. Was such an appealing and interesting arc to try and work out how to go there. So yeah.
Now, what were some of the key words or key ideas that Amma kept pushing on you for Dido? What were some things that she wanted you to think about, especially as the film went on?
The biggest thing I think that Amma was always impressing on all of us was the heart of the story, because I think, occasionally the danger when you're dealing with such weighty issues like race, class, gender, and hot topics like slavery, is not to feel like you're giving people a history lesson or getting, even though these are very, very valid issues, not to feel like you're being, earnestly bashing people over the head with history. Right. So she was very conscious to approach it from an emotional, human level and to find the heart in the story. We talked a lot about humiliation and the nuances of humiliation on a daily basis, the racism that goes on in society, in a genteel society that is more like the conversational slips and things like that. We talked about those and receiving those impacts and what that meant and how that builds. We talked a lot about, Dido's evolution from this naive, accepting young girl to this confident woman, and that she goes through this sort of political awakening that's sort of facilitated by John Davinier, and it's a meeting of minds as well as a meeting of hearts, and that's his, he's like the catalyst for her to sort of become her full self. So it was, because we shoot the whole thing completely out of context, it was very much kind of plotting when is it Dido the girl and when is it Dido the woman, and making sure to hold on to, which part of the journey she's on.
Was there one pivot point or a scene where Dido sheds her girlhood?
I mean, we've talked about this, and I probably think it's the scene in Vauxhall Gardens where she makes the decision to break away from Oliver, and then...
Yeah, when John says, you're alone, and we had to, because I didn't really understand that point in the script, and Emma explained that, for a lady at the time to go off by herself and be completely alone, unchaperoned, was one of the most shocking things that she could do, particularly a lady of status. And so that is a huge, it doesn't feel so huge in our time, but to see a woman do that in that period was a massive, massive choice. So it's a very...
Well, that's also a very, can I say, sexy scene? I mean, and one of the neat things about this movie, and the fun things about seeing movies like this, is that so much attraction gets to be conveyed in restrained ways. So I'm very happy that I have you both here. How the hell do you do that? Where you look at these two people and you think, wow, when they get together, that's going to be pretty hot. That's going to be. Talk about conveying that and conveying that attraction through restraint.
Emma actually stopped us from getting too sexy. She kept saying, "You're Ken and Barbie. There's nothing down there."
It didn't work.
I think also it's kind of because of the conventions of the day, and even actually to be, kissing in the middle of the street would probably be,
right.
I think we've taken a little bit of artistic license, but to reach that point in the story, I think that everybody feels like that they have earned that climactic moment. And for me, I think that the costumes and the etiquette and the social manners of the time really help the romance of the story, because I think something that's somewhat lost today is that restraint, and when you have that restraint, then I think the explosive moments or the moments of physical contact can become potentially that much more electric, because you've rationed them. Yeah.
Anything to add to that? Now, you guys are surrounded in this movie by some powerhouse actors, the super W's. You've got Penelope Wilton, Tom Wilkinson, and Emily Watson. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. I feel like my voice is so loud I forget. I will broadcast to the back room. So you talk about those actors and working with those three actors, Emily, Tom, and Penelope. They're extraordinary in the film.
Obviously, I did a lot of things with Tom Wilkinson, which was incredibly intimidating. And he is like a force of nature himself, an incredibly nice man and so talented. But I found it so useful because John Davinier is in awe of Lord Mansfield, and to have that kind of same sense of me as an actor looking up to this older actor I've always admired. So I it was very useful to have these figures around you all the time, that you're trying to stand up to. But they were so generous all the time, and everyone was so passionate about the story. That it was, we had some wild dinners in the Isle of Man, and getting to know the stories and the history behind those guys' careers.
I mean, for me, I'd actually worked with Penelope Wilton before on stage when we were both in Hamlet, and I was playing Ophelia and she was playing Gertrude in London. But we barely had any scenes together, and obviously in Hamlet, you know, for Ophelia and Gertrude, things don't go so well. And it was really, really wonderful to work with Penelope, because she's such a comedic genius. I mean, her sense of comic timing is so wonderful, and to work with her on a female-centric story was just amazing, and she's so humble. And Emily Watson, I mean, like I've looked up to her. I mean, her stillness and her sense of truth. You know, she's so grounded, and I really learned from example by working with her. And similarly, Tom, you know, kind of intimidating initially, you know, but actually it was wonderful. And Emma worked a lot with developing that father-daughter dynamic with us, and he really was the sort of father figure of the set, and really brought so much gravitas, I think, to a potentially girly kind of world. You know, his story and his, you know, the legal case and the weight that he brings was just, and also I should say Miranda Richardson, who is just phenomenal, and you know, being able to work with her and have a scene where I had to really stand up to her, I was like, oh my god, it's Miranda, I'm going to have to like really up my game. But you know, I learned so much from working with them all, and everybody was so down to earth.
So, talk a little bit about the response that you've been getting from people who've seen the film. I mean, it's kind of an extraordinary sort of a sleeper phenomenon. A lot of people are seeing this movie. It's just opened up to, I think, 45 more theaters this weekend. What kind of response have you been getting? What kind of things have people been saying to you and telling you? We just had a very interesting one coming in here.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much. That was quite overwhelming to have everyone standing up. It's been amazing, actually. I think the fascinating thing about this journey, for me particularly, is that, you know, you do the film that you, or the script that you read, and then you have the film that you shoot, and then there's this abyss of time, and then suddenly it sort of comes back into focus. And I think that I'm realising, and I knew it at the time, but I'm realising that this is a film that has so many layers that people really bring themselves to the theatre, and everybody connects on a different level depending on their own personal experience. Well,
it's a film that feels, we didn't know we were really hungry for it. You know, we were hungry to see a story of a black woman from that time that who had status and was not the same. Thank you. It's not a type of story we've seen before, and I think that people are really responding to that. Sam, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean. Completely changes our perspective of history, and for people to see that, you know, a biracial woman is not playing a servant. She's not, you know, a downtrodden character. She's a woman of status, and this woman is a real woman in history. You know, I hope that will completely change people's perspective on history, and also can change some perspective on themselves. I mean, I know some very close friends of mine that, you know, saw themselves reflected on the screen, and it's been incredible to see people's reaction and how personal people have taken it, and it's great.
Class and gender and race are, you know, they can be difficult conversations to have, but this is a way into those conversations that is, you know, it seems to spark an interesting conversation as opposed to a loud arguing type of conversation that's not, enlightening.
And I think they're very contemporary issues.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that, you know, these are things that we're still exploring, and is ever present in the media, and you know, the idea not just of race and gender, but just identity, full stop.
Right.
I think regardless of your ethnicity, regardless of your background, I think that everybody has moments in life where they're not sure where they fit in, and they don't feel comfortable with who they are, and hopefully, you know, the inspiring message is that Dido is all of those things to begin with, but that it's okay, and accepting every facet of who you are can be a journey.
Right.
but that it's possible, and you don't have to choose one thing or another. You can be all of those things.
So you've done a fair amount of Shakespeare. You played Juliet. Did that work at all inform or help you with this part?
Oh, undoubtedly. I think, you know, everything I've done has probably fed into this role, and I think that, you know, I learn from every actor I work with, and in terms of Shakespeare, for sure, in terms of understanding a heightened language,
Right.
being comfortable with heightened language, so hopefully it doesn't feel like, you know, an antiquated sort of history book coming out of your mouth. Hopefully trying to find the natural quality
Right.
in something that is a way that we don't speak every day. And I think some scenes are very Shakespearean. I think that the scene with Lady Ashford, that could have been written by Shakespeare. I have to tell Madam, I sort of think that there's a scale and a truth to some phrases in this film that I think, you know, have that size to them.
Did you like wearing those outfits?
Yes, I think I learned to I got used to learned to not eat. I think that, you know, it was a challenge.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it really was a challenge. I mean, you know, we're really not used to that structure, and you know, just things like being squeezed into the corset took 20 minutes to be dressed. You know, not being able to do up your own shoelaces and needing assistance for all sorts of intimate things. And, you know, I don't know, it was illuminating to me as much as it was sort of the discomfort of it, to really understand on a visceral level what it must have been like to be a woman at that time. And kind of like a metaphor for women's place in society, how restrained and constrained they were by those costumes. As we said before, you know, it gives you something to fight against. But also just on an actory level, you know, it completely informs your physicality.
And they're lovely. I mean, they're just beautiful. It seems as though it was such an expensive movie to make, but it, you know, you got a lot out of what was put into it. It was just a beautifully produced film on so many levels, the music and the costumes. Now, I went to Twitter to ask people if they have any questions for you two, and the first question that I got was, are either of you ever going to join Twitter?
I'm old-fashioned, as you can probably tell. I don't know. I mean, never say never. I don't. Amma Asante is on Twitter, by the way. If you want to kind of tweet her, she's very prolific on Twitter. I don't know. I never think that I'm interesting enough, or that the commitment that it would take. I don't know. I just haven't got round to it yet.
Dido. Do you have any questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, could you speak to the fact that it seems like it's easier in England to produce these kinds of films that haven't been produced in this country, and what do you think are some of the reasons or the dynamics behind that?
I think this film is actually quite challenging for them to get it off the ground, with Amma as the director, and I mean they had a really tough time trying to get this film, and Damien Jones has been persistent in getting it going. So I don't know if they had an easy time making the film at all.
It wasn't easy at all. I mean, I've known about this story for 7 years, so and it's taken that amount of time to be able to get the script together. I think they found it incredibly difficult to get financing. Initially, there's been various incarnations. Initially, there was an incarnation called Belle and Bette, which focused more on the two sisters in a more equal fashion. Then it was developed by HBO to be a mini-series, and that fell apart. So yeah, it's been a really long journey to the screen. Even though you know, I think sometimes when you see the finished product, you think that hopefully it looks easy or effortless, but it was a real struggle, and it was really down to the tenacity of Damien Jones, the producer.
Gugu, can you talk for a second about, there's not that much known about Dido. What were you able to find out about her? I mean, I'm sure as an actor you love to do research. What were you able to find out about her? And was there like enough liquid for the sponge of your desire to know as much as you could? You know?
Well, I mean, now there's a companion book, but we didn't have that at the time for the movie.
You did that 2 years earlier.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Amma did tons and tons of research, and you know, as Sam said, you know, there's documents like the wills of the family, and the painting really is the biggest resource. So, you know, in many ways, you know, using Amma, using the script, we did our etiquette coaching on the period and the Jane Austen-ness of the world, and then just approaching it as a human being, as you know, as much as we've got all this the context of the time. She is just a girl finding, herself in that coming of age story, and so yeah, investing as much personal humanity into
Right.
it as possible.
We have to wrap it up. We'll take one more question from the audience. Go ahead. Sure. Go ahead. Someone can use the mic.
Okay. So yes, you two are just gorgeous and absolutely A+ performances. So I'm just wondering, I know you mentioned Emma Thompson. I'm wondering what other actresses inspired you, and what actors inspired you growing up, and also what each of your favourite scenes were from the ones you performed. And from the Shakespearean roles you have played, what would you like to play?
3 questions. Actresses, Meryl Streep is my favourite actress. I really respond to her chameleon-like quality, and I think actresses that transform and are able to really have a longevity from that, playing very many different roles. What was the part B?
Favorite scene.
Oh, favourite scene. Oh my gosh, so many favourite scenes for different reasons. Probably the favourite scene that I have that we are both in is the Vauxhall Gardens scene, just because it was just such a beautiful romantic scene. I also really enjoy the scene with Miranda Richardson where I get to kind of put her in her place. Not really favourite but important scene for me, I think, is the scene that Dido has in the mirror where she's pulling at her skin. I think that to me was a very challenging scene, thank you. But very important to explore that ugly side that's beneath the surface, in such a genteel world. Can't remember what part C was. Shakespeare. Cleopatra.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Sam.
Oh, do you guys want to ask any more questions?
We have to wrap it up.
So many people want to ask questions.
Well, that was for you too.
Huh?
Like your favorite.
Oh,
yeah.
Gary Oldman, the scene in the Vauxhall Gardens, and I don't know, Shakespeare. Hamlet.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much, and have a wonderful